Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So nice to be here with all of you. Hope that you're doing well with this time change. This weekend, as you know, we sprung forward, so we lose an hour of sleep. I hope all of you had an opportunity to recover. Sometimes takes a little bit of time for some people due to the change. So today, before we go into our lecture, let us prepare and go through our meditation. Before we do that, let's do some stretching. Many people may wonder, there are many kinds of meditation. The most famous in the United States, I think, perhaps is Zen meditation. This meditation specifically comes from Tendai, from the work of Master Tiantai and the Makashikan. Um, all of those traditions came from this aspect. So this is the more traditional aspect of it. Each founder or interpreter developed upon it with their own concept and, of course, with their own goal in mind. So it's really important historically to understand how important this meditation is for us, and in the I say understanding of the origin of meditation in Buddhism, especially in Japan. So let's begin our head here. We go at an angle, other ankle, circle. All right, let us sit up straight. Do 3 purifying breaths, breathing through our nose for the count of 3, holding for 5, and exhaling for 7. Let us begin. Hold, exhale. Good. Inhale, hold, exhale. Inhale, hold, exhale. Okay, next let us find our meditation posture, sitting straight, placing our hands in Hokai join, close to our body, ears above the shoulders. We can tuck in our chin as we do in T, closing our teeth, tongue at the roof of the mouth, closing the eyes gently, enough to keep the light out. Then, as we prepare ourselves, let us listen for the bell. As we hear the bell, let us meld into our concentration using, as we exhale through our nose. We use the Daimoku no Mimi Holding Gekyo, and as we inhale, we simply observe the breath. Okay? Let us prepare ourselves. Release your attention, bring your awareness back to your body. Let us take a moment to breathe in for 3, hold for 5, exhale for 3. Let's take a moment to mindfully scan our body, our breathing, our mind, without judgment. This is the meaning of mindfulness. Now let us bring our awareness back to our fingers, toes, our body. Bring our hands together. Thank you very much for our meditation practice. Today we will concentrate on, again, as we have been speaking about during our practice of meditation, the 5 hindrances. Last week we spoke on the concept of worldly desire, or as we can sometimes call sense desire, and how we can regulate that. Again, with the practice of meditation, these skandhas, these attachments, these memories that we have, that we're constantly saving in our vault. The practice of meditation, the practice of Buddhism allows us, allowing it to impose itself based on some of the more baser aspects of our nature, such as instinct, etc. With this idea of awareness, mindfulness, our mind becomes wider, vaster to be able to see and observe. Also with the idea of Dhyana, we enter into one-pointedness of mind. So today, the second one is very interesting. Again, as we spoke, the idea of aversion, sometimes called ill will, is a negative mental state involving resistance. Why are we in resistance? There is some conflict. That is what the idea of aversion. We cannot move, we're stuck. If we don't have a clear understanding, we become paralyzed. It is most extreme, in its most extreme form, is, as we would know, hatred, with the intent to harm or destroy. But any compulsion to get rid of or avoid unpleasantness, no matter how subtle it is aversion. We probably see ourselves that this is what materialism and the modern life actually encourages, because if you have some uncomfortable emotion or situation, or as we said in cognitive behavioral therapy, activating event out of your control, we could in any way respond to this unpleasantness by our emotion of hatred, depending, as we see, the scale as to what nature, what mind, what attitude, what emotion, what consequence we react with. And this is all in the avoidance of unpleasantness. Dissatisfaction and resentment, most forms of criticism, and even self-accusation, impatience, and boredom are forms of aversion. This is because we are not doing what we are supposed to be doing. We avoid. As with the other hindrances, aversion has been helpful for human survival. As again, when we are looking, as we do in mindfulness, without judgment, we should know that these instincts, these behaviors have some base in our natural survival. But again, as we cultivate ourselves to understanding the higher sense of mind, Buddha nature, we have to put these into proper perspective. In the same way that we are programmed to take pleasure in and desire anything that supports our continued existence, survival, we're programmed to experience displeasure and aversion towards all of that that is potentially harmful. Aversion motivates us to avoid and eliminate what is unpleasant. So, in this natural avoidance, what we see as unpleasant, what we see as perhaps even dangerous or contrary to our life, we avoid. But in this spiritual setting, we realize that there are external dangers that we should protect ourselves and avoid, right? But then the avoidance that happens internally is that internal conflict, that we are stuck, or as I say, paralyzed. This is the ultimate result of avoidance, to not be able to move on, to not be able to be flexible, to not be able to see in proper perspective reality. Hmm? Aversion hinders meditation in several ways. For instance, thoughts about someone we don't like, a dreaded future obligation, something we have to do we don't want to particularly do, or regrets about the past easily become distractions during meditation. Judgment and impatience about our practice undermine our motivation. Why am I not better at this? I'm not getting the result I want. This is too slow, too much work. Hmm? In later stages, subtle unconscious traces of aversion can keep mental and physical pliancy from developing and prevent the meditation factor of pleasant or calmness or happiness, as we would say, from arising. When I say this word happiness, this is spiritual contentment. Many times the sutras, they've translated it as equilibrium. So as we practice in meditation, what we see now is obviously obvious aversion, right? That's sometimes very easily to spot. But then it becomes much more subtle as we work on the more finer points of our experience, of our mind. And those finer points are barriers that keep us from understanding or experiencing this samadhi or equilibrium. Just as aversion opposes mental happiness and physical pleasure, the meditation factor of pleasure or happiness opposes aversion. So there is obviously a conflict here. Pleasure, happiness counters aversion by making negative states of mind impossible to hold on to, although they can return full force afterward. So just because in this moment you have calmed your mind, stilled your mind, and you're not fraught as you may think by aversion or experienced by experiencing aversion. As we stated, the subtler, more subtle points may be there, but then also what Buddhism does, it allows us to counteract. Hence, Buddhism talks about that our meditation, our study is medicine. Simply put, there's little, if any, room for negativity in a mind filled with contentment. This is one of the reasons it is crucial to always seek our pleasure feelings and encourage proper understanding through Dhyana. My teacher once drew a big circle, and in that circle we placed all of the basic emotions that we had as little bubbles. And by the time we did, we ran out of room for each of the circles. And he said, put, your most difficult aspect of your character as the biggest circle, anger, etc., hatred, whatever. And then he said, if we reduce this one, never disappear because this is part of the nature, but reduce. The other has the ability to grow. So that in order to go into the state of samadhi, we need dhyana. We should learn to recognize aversion in our minds, replacing it with equanimity. Hence, we practice. Also, acceptance and patience are two additional important aspects. As these become your new predispositions, anger, cold-heartedness, and harmfulness are replaced by loving kindness, compassion, and nonviolence. You will be astonished at the profound transformation as this aversion becomes more and more less powerful. As I said with the circle, doesn't mean it's not there and that it cannot have the potentiality to grow. That is why we do not hold on to states in meditation, because even though now you may be able to um, change or have a different state of mind rather than aversion, you may have that idea of samadhi, right? That gives us the energy, the freedom to move. Doesn't mean in the next moment you may not have aversion. So that's why, as the Buddha has taught, even though we experience equanimity, to maintain that equanimity, we must not grasp or cling, but continually cultivate through, as Nichiren Shonin said, without practice and study, there is no Buddhism. This is a very profound and important statement. So all of you, I hope you have a wonderful day. Please continue your practice. We will meet again on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo.